Lucy and Stephanie stood for a moment, smiling, just looking inside of the locket. There in the locket, curled tightly around, was some blonde baby hair, a lock in a locket. You could see it was baby hair. It was so fine and blonde, like a newborn baby's hair would be. Beside it was a picture of a baby, moments old, no more then. And behind the locket was a small piece of paper which obviously had writing on it. Lucy opened it and took it out, and there, inside, was the telephone number. If found, please ring. Later on that day, after Stephanie and Lucy had had a really good talk about what they should do, they decided to ring the number. They rang the number and waited. An older man answered the phone. "Hi," he said. "Jeff speaking." "Hello," Lucy said. This is going to seem really stupid, and I just hope I've got the right number, but we found a locket." It went silent at the other end of the phone. Not a word was spoken for several seconds, and it felt like moments more than it actually was. "Have you?" he said. And then hesitantly he said, "I know all about the locket. It's okay, you can speak to me. Where did you find it?" She explained about clearing out the shed and that she'd found the locket in, but the clasp was broken on it. So obviously someone had been working and lost it, and probably didn't even know they had until later on and couldn't work out where it'd been lost. He said, "Look, I can't speak about the subject now, but I'm going to contact a few people and then I'll get back to you. Is that okay?" "Okay," said Lucy, as she looked at Stephanie, and Stephanie looked at her with a slight grin on her face. "Thank you very much for listening," said Lucy. "I hope I haven't upset anyone." "Bye," said the man, and click. That was the end of the conversation. A few hours later, Lucy's mobile rang. She picked it up, didn't know the number. "Hello," she said. Jeff, the man she had spoken to's voice, erupted from the other end of the phone. "Hello, Lucy," he said. Well, she thought, he remembered my name. He was leaving a message, he said. "I just want to quickly say, I want to meet you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the local cafe in the village. Are you able to do that?" "Oh, yes," she said. "Can I bring my friend?" Yes," he said. "Bring your friend. I'll see you at 9 tomorrow. Bye." Click, and the line went dead. Lucy waited, and there she was, ready and eager to meet the person at 9 o'clock the following morning. As luck would have it, it was a school holiday, half-term type, so she was happy to spend her morning waiting. She went to the local coffee shop and waited patiently. Moments later, Stephanie came in and they sat together at a small round table with 3 chairs, hoping that there was enough room between them so that the gentleman didn't feel as if they were encroaching on his private domain. It was a lovely little coffee shop. It was quite quaint. There was teapots everywhere and floral arrangements and plates and cups and saucers and the usual things you see in quaint little countryside cafes. Over in the corner was a counter, and on it was homemade cakes of all variations, biscuits, scones, all kinds of things. There was tea, coffee and fruit teas and the likes to be had, and they read the menu slowly, thinking, should we wait or should we order? They got there slightly early, just before 9, hoping that they could be seated so they didn't feel awkward walking in on a complete stranger. They sat and waited, tapping their fingers and looking really nervous. The waitress came over once or twice and asked if she could help. They said, "Oh, we're waiting for someone." At 9:15, the bell of the door tinkled. They didn't want to turn and look, but they just had to, and they turned, and there was a smartly dressed elderly gentleman. He came up to them. They were the only 2 in the cafe that early in the morning. "Hello," he said. "I'm Jeff." "Lucy?" "Yes," said Lucy. "I'm Lucy, and this is my friend Stephanie. I'm really pleased to meet you. Sit down," she said. "Shall we get coffee?" he said. Stephanie, being outgoing, said, "Yeah, I was thinking a cup of tea and some cake. What do you think, Lucy?" As they were served, they didn't talk about the subject in hand. They just sat there and waited for the waitress to bring their food, and they passed pleasantries about the day, how the day had been thus far early in the morning as it was, and how they hoped the rest of their day would go. The gentleman pulled up an envelope and put it on the table. I believe in the locket you found a picture of a baby, maybe hours old? Yes, she said. And he took a photograph, a much bigger photograph, out of the envelope and laid it on the table in front of them. And there was the tiny baby staring back at them that they had found in the locket. It was in black and white, but you could see that his hair no doubt was blonde, just the way it lay. The telephone number you have, he said, is obviously mine, but the baby is not mine. I had to speak to the person about it before I could even come and speak to you. The locket was lost a number of years ago, and you finding it is an absolute godsend. The person will be so happy, so pleased. I can't tell you how pleased she is. Lucy looked at Stephanie. She. I wonder if it's she, the baby, or she, the mother. The man said, look, I think probably that you must live in a small cottage down the road. A small, what I call chocolate box cottage. Yes, said Lucy, I do. I brought it from Mrs. P. Mrs. Podgeter, she said. Oh, that's fine, she said. That's absolutely fine. He looked at her and said, arrangements need to be made about this, and you need to visit this person. It's more her things you need to speak about. They're not really mine. I'm just the brother. The brother, said Lucy. The brother of the woman who's in the picture. Oh, she said. Well, he said, step brother. I won't tell you any more because it's not my job to tell you. All I can say is I will ask you to make arrangements to go and see Mrs. P, as you call her, and then you and her can have a great conversation about this. She'll tell you all about it, what you need to know. She's very open, very sociable, and very kind. I know, said Lucy. I received a wonderful message from Mrs. P in the form of a letter telling me that she hoped I'd be comfortable in the cottage, and it was nice to have young people there again. Jeff said, that sounds like her. She's a wonderful woman, but you need to make arrangements. I think you know that she's in the home. She found it difficult to look after herself in the cottage anymore, far too much for one woman to look after. Since her husband died, it was never the same for her. She wasn't as happy there as she'd been when the family were there. But feel free. Phone the home. I'll give you the number. He handed Lucy the number, and Stephanie leaned over and had a look. Thank you, said Stephanie. Thanks, said Lucy. I'll see what I can do about making a phone call and see if I can get well, what would you say? An appointment to see Mrs. P? I've never actually met her before. It's all been through writing. I haven't even spoke to her on the phone. That's okay, said the gentleman called Jeff. Go ahead. She'll want to hear from you, no doubt. She will particularly want to know where and when you found the locket. There's two, you see. She's got one, and you've got the other one. Okay, said Lucy. Stephanie looked at her a bit bewildered. Two lockets? Wonder why, thought Stephanie. As Jeff finished his coffee, the girls sat there finishing their tea and eating their last bit of cake. I'd best go, said Jeff. Got plenty to do today. My wife's asked me to collect some bits before going home. We've got a dinner date tonight with some friends. Okay, said Lucy, and they shook hands. Her and Stephanie shook hands with Jeff, the gentleman. Okay, said Lucy. So this is the next step, a phone call. Do you want to do it now or do you want to go home? I want to think about it, said Lucy. Would you mind awfully, Stephanie, if we went straight back to my place and just thought about it for a while and just had a chat? Of course. Let's do that, said Stephanie, as she opened the door for Lucy, and they got into the car to head home.